Now, the rest of the story.
Welcome back to the rest of the story, and the Grass Farmer channel, I guess. But the fence down at the valley is 99% taken out. The last 1% is what I'm doing right now. I'm walking it, looking for any stakes, hidden stakes or wire. I did find a little wire up there, and to finish it off, I'm gonna go through and bring the Rhino 4155 down and run over this with the wing. Yep, that's right, the wing, because I see random stuff like this. You see what I mean? And I think I can get this one out. That's good. I don't want to run any tires or run any of these things through any tires, so there's no wire connected to it. There was two lines of fence through here, and I don't know what made the reasoning as to why there was a brand new fence offset from this fence. Yes, this one didn't look that great, but I think it was more of not wanting to go through the trouble of trying to tear out this. But when I can go through with that 4155 and I can run the wing over the uncut grass, and if there's any wires or anything like this, actually that sticks up enough, the wing should actually kind of kick that around. I can see it, because I'll be going about half the speed of smell down through this and getting this grass ground up. And see, I'm actually standing on dirt, which I doubt you guys can tell, but there's, from being flooded like umpteen times, because I've seen the water down here where it's pretty much, 3/4 of the way up that little tree there that is coming out, by the way. And that flooding just brings in more material, sediment. And this old grass that you're seeing me kick around down here, that's probably like 5-10 years old, and being able to go through and grind it up and get this to look like the rest of that. You can see it's a little yellow through here, largely just because of the traffic that it's been getting. It's the 10th or the 11th of July. This stuff is getting made again. It's on the calendar for August 1st is what I'm actually planning on. And I think we should be all right. We aren't in the dry weather concern area. I mean, we're actually sitting really well, to be honest, not putting anybody out that's hurting for water, but the grass is growing. My yard is actually, it's actually the way I prefer it. My yard really isn't growing that fast, so I don't have to mow that very often, but then the actual crops themselves are getting enough to where they can perform, and we actually are sitting better than last year, growth wise and everything. My foliar was put on, was it Tuesday? I put that on Saturday. So with the radiate next, the insecticide was a smart call. The reason I say that is because we are having a lot of insect pressure starting to move in on our row crops, and if they're willing to chew through the row crops, that they're more than willing to go through your grass. And that is another thing that I'm sure was hurting me last year, was I was losing a bunch of tons per acre from the amount of bug pressure I had from the grasshoppers for first cut, and then the armyworms for last cut. And then once again after that, it was seeding, spraying off the clover on the bench ground and then seeding it. I'm not going to go up there and talk about it, but there was a lot of bare areas that obviously should be growing something, would benefit me from growing something, some form of grass. And first cut was able to grow up, it headed out, so the goal is to just let it essentially just keep reseeding itself and just go that route versus trying to keep chasing it with more grass seed. Or I really don't want to have to come down, tear it up and reseed it again, because then I'm just out that much more. I doubled my bales per acre this year over first cut last year, so I'm content with where it's at. It could be better, it really could, but the stuff down here is about halfway up to my knee and another 20 or so days. This stuff will do a lot of growing in pretty short order here. Just like with everything else I'm checking with the corn and the beans and the hay and the grass, I'm trying to get around and see everything weekly. And this stuff, I mean, to be completely honest, it's actually looking really nice compared to what it was when I was down here on Saturday already. So it's been given everything I can give it, and basically it's just up to the weather and the crops themselves to actually perform. So I gotta head back out, so catch you later. We went from the front side of making hay to the back side of making hay. This is picking up the new seeding on that other farm that I made for a guy. And my cousin Matt was in town from Louisiana, and he was in the right place at the right time, and I asked him if he wanted to come help me haul some hay, and that's exactly what we did. We ended up hauling this stuff back home, and I made a mistake. This stuff, I made it with our stereotypical, 64, 65 inch. I made them smaller. Everything that I baled earlier in the day from that previous video you guys saw, I made those at 62 inches because we want to be certain we can get them through the wrapper. Well, this stuff I wasn't planning on wrapping until I saw how wet it was, and I didn't, I was more focused on trying to get the stuff baled so I could help haul in. I had a lapse in judgment, and I ended up baling this stuff at 64 inches, which in turn means 65, because when I'm aiming for a certain bale size, you usually figure about an inch less than what your goal is, because by the time you stop the tractor, stop and back up, you're going to gain that extra inch, which gets you to your target. So the wrapper will run these through. It's just that, if you guys can tell, that's the skid steer, the Bobcat, doing everything in its ability to pick that bale up. I don't want to guess how heavy these things are. It's alfalfa. I think there might be a little bit of clover in there. And green oats. It was cut the same day as ours, but it wasn't as far as long as ours, so it was just a bit greener. And the skid steer definitely knew about it. And the Bobcat really didn't appreciate it. So what we were doing, which seems kind of silly, we're only using the bumper hitch trailer, but we aren't very far from home. And the goal was, while Dad and Ryan were hauling the hay or the bales in back at my place, my cousin Matt was able to help me run around, and we were hauling back 3 bales at a time, which it was only 24 bales with, was it like a 2.5, maybe 3 miles might be stretching it, drive. So I mean, we picked up over half of them before the 76 and the bale wagon opened up, and I believe we only ended up doing 6, 7, 8, we only hauled 9 bales back with 2 trips, 9 bales with 76. The rest of them the bumper hitch trailer did. And in this one, you can see that it was out here by itself. I already tried to pick it up once, and then I backed up, and that's why I'm laughing, because I couldn't pick it up earlier. And what I ended up doing is sliding the tines underneath the bottom of the bale with the skid steer pointed downhill, so I had the weight of the engine helping me pick this up. And I backed up, and then just the use of the momentum, I backed up and then started forward, and I was able to pick it up. And that was pretty much as high as I was able to get it up off the ground, and I was able to get it onto the trailer. And these bales were pretty heavy. even as far as Dad and Ryan unloading them back at my place, because they had the deer steer back home, and they would just jab them and set them off to the side. But these were heavy, to the point where they were testing the durability of these tines for these hay forks that we got. So we bought them locally. They had a whole stack of spare spears, and that's, I want to go over and we'll pick up one or two just to have them on hand, because these are super duper handy. I still like using the pallets, and they have their place, and these are really nice too. The spears are on the ground versus my brother's tines that they're actually in the center of the back plate, so it's harder to get the tines down underneath any bales. So that was that. Parked the skid steer so it's closer to the next bales we had to pick up, because we did your stereotypical drive as far away from the gateway or the driveway as possible, and then haul the bales furthest away back home. Because wrapping this stuff, it didn't take us all night. At least I was grateful for that. We got it raked and baled and hauled and wrapped all by 9 o'clock that night. So, and then yes, we did strap it down once we got down to the road. But it's kind of silly, but if it works, and is it really that silly? I mean, I didn't have any other trailer I could use. The flatbed, I have to do a little bit of, I got to adjust the tongue on it. And the bumper hitch trailer is so much simpler loading and unloading the skid steer, because those ramps on that gooseneck, they're a pain. They are. So that's all I got. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more. The channel appreciates it. Talk to you later.